Hi, I'm Shelley Mathias. I'm the principal at Hyde Park Elementary School, and I'm also one who has been in business and industry for 25 years, and my focus has been on marketing and sales. And as such, I realized that it's really important that we use the same principles when we're working on school budgets for our public. This presentation is to help school boards and administrators in preparing your message and crafting your message for the public so that you can provide information to parents and the community about how your budgets relate to the students. Our assumptions are that we need to ensure that there is a balance between investments, quality, and efficiency. You know, there are economists who tell us that in education, the cost is the lowest possible price we could pay. And I would ask you to remember that if that were the case, if costs were the only issue, then we'd all be driving Yugos. And if we look out in our parking lots, we know that's not the case. The fact is that consumers consider features and benefits when making financial decisions. And our job is to link outcomes to investments. So I have worked with my school board in reframing our conversation about our school budget. And we are using good marketing principles in doing that. I think it's important that we remember that politicians have become very good at framing issues in a way that influence voters. They use words that evoke subtle emotional reactions. And we need to be cognizant of that and use the same tools to communicate with our public. The administration and the General Assembly have been pretty effective in divorcing resources from school outcomes. School districts are getting two conflicting messages. We're supposed to be cutting our budgets while we improve our student outcomes. Taxpayers and parents need to know from reliable research that how we fund our schools has a direct impact on our student outcomes. We need to help our community understand that education for each child is a 13-year investment, and that what we do in any single year has an impact on a student's later years. Furthermore, we need to help them understand that the rhetoric of politicians alone does not tell the tale about education investment, and the current rhetoric, which focuses solely on the price tag, can be damaging to our kids. We've reframed the debate about budgets by linking it to the long-term impact. For example, a 13-year public education at an average per pupil investment of $12,000 amounts to $156,000 per child over that 13-year period. If we expect that person to work for 45 years, earning an average, a conservative average of $40,000 a year, that adds up to $1.8 million. If they were taxed at a rate of 15%, that would equal $270,000. That's a return of investment of 73%. That's a pretty good return. And that doesn't even count for the total impact of each person on the state or the federal gross domestic product. The fact is, education is working for our country. We need to reframe the debate by eliminating the terms that evoke negative reactions, terms like spending, cost, expenditure, and taxes. How do we do it? We use positive terms that evoke positive emotional reactions, terms like investment, dollars, contribution. If you're looking at a long-term investment such as adding a wing onto your school, a capital investment, talk about leaving a legacy for your community. What do I mean by that? Well, I don't make a huge amount of money. I don't have the resources to add a wing to a hospital or a building for a university. But in my community, I can help build a new school that will educate thousands of children over the years. That's really a wonderful thing to think about. But we have to help people to understand that that is their legacy, their contribution to their society. It's really important to avoid fuzzy terms like good for kids. Replace that with concrete information. You can introduce research linking dollars to student outcomes over time. For example, my doctoral research indicated that the direct instruction expenditures over time resulted in a difference of as much as 17 points in math scores by 10th grade between low investing communities and high investing communities. That's pretty significant. In the category of instruction support, which includes professional development, curriculum development, technology, and libraries, the difference in math scores by 10th grade between high investing and low investing communities was as much as 25 points. And the sad thing is that instruction support is very vulnerable to budget cuts. Identify successful programs that you've implemented within your school. For example, Hyde Park Elementary School did a study on our special education staffing. We increased the number of people that we had working with our special education students, and we saw really positive results. As a matter of fact, over 2 years, we saw a 100-point increase in the literacy scores on the kneecaps and 90 points increase in the math score on the kneecap exams. That's a pretty significant impact and a great return on our investment. But we have to communicate that to our community to help them understand that they're making the decision to fund those positions really worked for the kids. We also need to help those people who don't have children in school anymore, or perhaps never had children in school, to understand why supporting public education is really something that they benefit from on a daily basis. For example, if somebody says to me, "I don't have any children in school," I ask them, "Really? Did you go to a bank today? How about a doctor's office? A store? Did you work with a CPA or perhaps an architect?" Anyone in business, in any form of business, has in all probability been educated by public school dollars. And we need to help people make that link to the fact that their communities run based on the quality of the education that our citizens have received. One of the things that's really going to be important, though, when you're preparing your presentation for your taxpayers and community is to practice. It's hard to make the change from using terms like costs and expenditures to using terms like investment and contribution for taxes. That doesn't come naturally. I will admit to having to correct myself a few times over the years. But it's really, really important to help them make the link. Investment is a term that we use when we're thinking about the long term. And 13 years is what it takes to get a child through public school education. That's long term. Short-term decisions about 1 year's budget have an impact on children in the long term, and we have to keep hammering that message home. It's a long-term decision process. Make sure that your press releases and school communications referencing your budget decisions maintain the positive words and that message of a long-term investment for all of your kids. Hopefully, this will help you pass your budget. I can tell you that we've done this for the past 2 years at Hyde Park Elementary. Last year, because we had an 18% increase in enrollment, our budget went up 10%. We passed our budget with a 2-to-1 margin in a year where the administration had been hammering on all schools to lower their budgets. We couldn't lower our budgets because of the increase in enrollment. Because we were able to answer the taxpayers' questions in concrete terms, in real data, they had the confidence that we were able to do the right things by their students, and they passed the budget. I think that this shows that if you give the taxpayers the information they need they will support their schools. Thank you and good luck.